Welcome. We're gonna get started lying down today. So go ahead and grab your mat if you haven't already. I'm gonna have a block handy today, but if you do not have a block, that is more than okay. You don't really need anything. You can use a book, a water bottle, really anything that you have on hand, just to, again, bring the floor a little bit closer to you if needed. So yes, go ahead and find a comfortable lying down position. So we might extend the legs nice and long, maybe bringing one hand to our heart, one hand to our belly, as we just start to connect with our breathing first and foremost. So taking a nice full inhale through the nose, maybe feeling chest and belly rise up as you fill up with breath. And then how about a sigh out the mouth this first round? And you might take a couple of sighs, kind of letting that be a symbolic gesture of brushing aside anything that is weighing on your mind or kind of swirling around up there, doing our best to just kind of make that matter a little bit less, just while we have this experience, while we take this time that you have carved out for it yourself. And when it feels right, when you feel ready, you can start to draw that breath in through your nose and out through your nose only. It's nothing to force or push. It's just about kind of thinking about and leaning into a longer, slower, deeper inhale. A longer, slower, more controlled exhale. So our yoga breathing really is just a little more conscious, a little more intentional, and takes a little more thought than our regular day-to-day breathing. So how about just a couple more here, just to set the tone, just to get familiar with it. And as we take these final few breaths here before we start moving, you just might bring to the forefront of your mind your motivation for showing up to your practice, your motivation for taking this time. Maybe what goal you're hoping to achieve or what you're hoping to get out of this experience. And then once you have that in your mind, we can acknowledge it, and then let's see if we can just fully let that go and allow ourselves just to be in the process of creating it without worrying about that end result. So how about our next breath in, we take those arms and reach them up overhead, maybe bringing feet together. We can get nice and long through fingertips, maybe wiggling the toes a bit, point and flex the feet. Perhaps feeling that subtle arch in the spine as our mid-back or upper back lifts up a bit. And then on an exhale, let's see if we can bring our hands behind our head. So elbows out wide to the side. And if that doesn't work, we can keep arms straight up overhead. And from wherever we're at, let's see if we can shimmy the shoulders a little bit more to the left. And then also step that left foot out to the left corner of your mat, bringing the right ankle on top. So we're crossing at the ankles and taking a side bend in our lying down position. So we can just take a few breaths here, be feeling that right side body stretching and opening with every inhale. Softening into the mat beneath us, relaxing every exhale. And just taking a few rounds of breath here, still just warming up. How about one more? Nice big inhale through the nose. Settling on the exhale, and our next breath in, we'll kind of shimmy through center. We can uncross those legs and just take it to the other side. So we're going to shimmy our shoulders over to the right, so that left elbow might feel like it's kind of pointing up towards the top of our mat. That left ankle can kind of cross over the right, making a little half moon shape as we breathe again into that left side body now. So nice stretch on the left. Seeing if we can relax that left elbow, shoulder down towards the mat. And using our breath is a really powerful tool, again, to just kind of bring our focus back to the here and now. When it's really normal, very natural to have thoughts kind of pop in. Yeah, final breath here. And then we can use a fresh breath in to, again, just kind of transition back through center. And let's take those hands out from underneath us. Let's uncross those legs. And how about we squeeze our knees into our chest? So we might grab for behind the thighs. We might grab for in front of the shins, just kind of depending. And we might just give ourselves a nice big squeeze here. Thinking about relaxing our tailbone down towards the mat. Sometimes it's nice to rock and roll a little bit side to side. Nice little self-massage for the spine. Continuing to breathe here, letting that fluid breath be the priority. We can even bring our hands to our knees and make some circles. Inhaling forward as we straighten out the arms, and exhale to squeeze those knees back into the chest one direction. You can take a few one way, and then when we feel ready, the next round or two, we can switch directions, just kind of making circles the opposite way. So being mindful, right? We're still in the very beginning, so any places that feel a little stuck or a little tighter or a little more tension, we can just allow that and be gentle and maybe spend a little more time or a little more focus on those places. Letting them open up in their own time. Again, not focused on the result, right, of stretching, but really just kind of being where we're at, being in that process. And then once we feel balanced on both sides, let's see if we can stretch both legs straight up to the sky. I know my legs are sore from some work I did yesterday, so I like to grab onto the backs of my thighs, and you'll notice my knees are a little bit softer, right? As we breathe into any tension we feel in the legs, and we might wiggle the toes or circle through the ankles. When we are focused on getting a certain outcome or a certain result, that generally leads our thoughts to be somewhere in the future, right? We're worried about that outcome or that finish line or that thing that we want. And that takes us out of the moment. Maybe pointing and flexing. Just a few more breaths here. Beautiful. How about one more inhale, maybe pressing a little extra through those heels. And then let's exhale our knees back into our chest. And let's try for a happy baby here. So we're going to reach for the pinky toe edges of those feet and start to bring our feet up towards the ceiling as we hug our knees into our armpits. Yeah, so the feeling is like we're standing on the ceiling. So flat feet pressing up high. And again, let's think about releasing our tailbone towards the floor. And there might even be a little rock here, side to side. And it's okay to want things for your future. I feel like that's, probably pretty practical. It's good to think about where we're going, the goals that we have, the things that we want to create in our lives. But generally, when we are future focused and not grounded in the present, that's what can create a lot of stress or tension, maybe anxiety even, worry, all of those kinds of feelings that are not necessarily productive. Beautiful, yes. How about one more nice squeeze through center? See if we can reach those shins a little bit higher. And then we can exhale back down. Awesome. Let's release those feet to our mat. So bringing our heels pretty close in toward our hips, knees pointing up to the sky, arms flat by our side. Let's bring those palms facing down and enjoy a little bridge here. So we're gonna press into those feet and start to lift the tailbone. We're gonna start to curl up through our spine, lifting hips, lifting low back, middle back, maybe all the way even into our upper back. I like to shrug one shoulder underneath me at a time. Getting that nice lift in the chest, keeping our gaze just straight up, not turning the head side to side, just to be cautious with our neck. Continuing to breathe. I will remind us over and over again, because isn't it just so easy to forget? Right? It's the nature of our mind to kind of have thoughts drift in that might steal our focus, and that is totally normal, totally okay. And as soon as we notice that distraction, it's just a reminder to bring ourselves back to our breath. Beautiful. How about one more inhale? Let's see if we can get those hip bones a little bit higher, and then slowly on the exhale, we're going to lower down top to bottom, thinking like one vertebrae at a time. Lovely. Just one more move lying on our back here. So we're going to once again squeeze our knees into our chest and opening arms out wide to the side, maybe in a T or maybe like a cactus goalpost shape, just letting those knees fall over to the left. And I like to bring my left hand on top of that knee to kind of help guide it over as we turn our gaze to the right. When we are present with the action at hand, when we are present with the moment that we're in, that is when we have access to all of our power. We can't do anything in the imaginary future. It's not here yet, but right here in this moment, by giving our best effort and really focusing all of our attention on what we're doing now, we are creating that future. Maybe doing a little scan head to toe and just noticing if any part of our body is gripping or efforting. Seeing if we can soften it just as we take a final breath or two here. When we feel ready, we can start to inhale those knees up through center. We're just going to switch sides, so letting knees fall over to the right now. Again, I like to bring my hand to that knee on the right side, and we're going to turn our head in the opposite direction. Just softening into the floor, enjoying a few rounds of breath on this side. Beautiful. How about one more nice full inhale? Exhale to soften into our twist. And then a nice breath in to come back through center. How about we stretch nice and long one more time before transitioning to a tabletop pose. So that's going to be hands and knees. We can kind of use our arms or lean over to one side to support us on the way up. Maybe swinging feet behind us, or we can always just cross over those ankles to shift forward to hands and knees. So bringing palms under our shoulders, knees about hips width apart. And let's start to take some cats and cows here. So on an inhale, we're going to drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the chest. It's a nice dipping down, arching through the spine. And then on an exhale, we're going to press into those palms to round, tucking chin to chest, bringing our face toward our hips, rounding through the spine here. And let's just flow back and forth. Inhale to drop the belly and lift the gaze, kind of squeezing shoulder blades together. And exhale to round. And I'll just invite you to flow through a few on your own, just to the rhythm of your own breath. When we're focused on getting results, it's almost like we're doing X to get to Y, right? Every action we're taking is a means to an end, and we might not feel like there's meaning in the action itself, right? It's just to kind of get us somewhere else or get us what we want. Beautiful, just a few more. So let's say we're doing a yoga class just because we want more flexibility, right? That's the outcome we want. We just want to be more flexible. We don't really care about these poses or like being in this class. We just want that end result. Generally, that takes away from the experience. We're less likely to enjoy it. Maybe we add a little shift side to side, kind of swinging hips one direction, turning our gaze to look to that side and then the other. Beautiful. All right, so from here, let's extend that left leg behind us. So we can keep toes on the floor. We can come to the ball of that foot. And how about just a little shift forward and back? So as we press back on an exhale, we're thinking about pressing into that heel. We should feel a nice stretch through the calf, the ankle. And then as we inhale forward, kind of coming on the tippy toes. You can just take a few like that. We're just kind of sweetly opening the back of that leg. Here's the thing about focusing on outcomes too. Once we get what we think we want, how long does that actually make us happy and satisfied? Right? Maybe a day, maybe an hour, maybe a week, a month, a year, who knows? But it's only a matter of time before we just want something else, right? Lovely. So we're going to come through center, and that back foot, we're going to spin it flat. We're going to pivot that heel down, and that right foot, the knee that's bent, we're going to see if we can spin that shin behind us. It's going to serve as like a little kickstand so that we can shift weight to the right side and start to inhale, peel that left arm up to the sky. So we're in a supported side plank here, and we might circle around through that lifted left wrist. Maybe we wrap that left arm around our low back. Sometimes it's nice to come on the fingertips, or oh my goodness, we have a block we could use here. I almost forgot. So yeah, if that feels like a little bit too far away, we can always prop ourselves up on a block. Yeah, and again, we might wrap that arm around our low back. Nice, and how about we inhale that left arm to the sky once again and start to make some circles with it. So we can inhale, pull that arm up overhead, reaching back as far as we can, and then stretching that arm back toward our extended left leg. So we're just kind of sweeping that arm up overhead, making a few circles one direction. Just warming up through that shoulder, and we can take our circles the opposite direction a few rounds. Nice. Once we complete that, inhaling that left arm straight up to the sky. And this is where we're going to recruit our core. We're going to engage those abdominal muscles and think about pressing into that left foot, the outer edge of that back foot. And we're going to see about lifting, again, with a strong core, all the way up so the arms come out to a T. I'm going to adjust my camera angle so you guys can see. Yeah. And we're going to gaze off those front fingertips and find just a little bit of a flow here. So we're going to flip that front palm up. As we inhale, reach up and back. Those left fingertips slide down the left leg. As that right arm comes up overhead, that's our in-breath. And on an exhale, we're going to float those right fingertips down towards the mat, maybe to our block. So we bring that left arm up overhead. Inhale, reaching up and back. Again, core is engaged, tailbone is slightly tucked underneath us so we're not sticking our hips back. And we're just going to find a little flow side to side. So again, getting a nice stretch in the side body, nice stretch in that left inner thigh. Awesome. The next time we come up and back, Let's pause there. Let's take that right arm up overhead and see if we can bend the elbow and bring our right palm behind our head. I like to take my left hand and grab onto that bent right elbow and let that help me lean a little bit more over to the left. So deep side bend. Thinking about squeezing the thighs together. Big full breaths here. How about one more? Nice big breath in. And as we exhale, we can release that clasp, almost like a cartwheel. We can bring both of our hands back to the front of the mat as we spin on the back toes. And release that left knee, once again coming to our tabletop. Amazing. So how about we take a little child's pose? Let's bring those knees a little bit further apart, maybe to the edges of your mat. And then start to settle the hips down towards the heels as we melt the chest. And stretch the arms out in front of us. And if we have more hip tightness, our child's pose might look like this, where our butt's kind of up in the air, and that is totally okay. So wherever we land is perfectly fine. Just a little opportunity to rest, to reconnect with that breath. If our forehead is on the mat, I love to kind of rock my head side to side, like a little massage for those forehead muscles. Beautiful. How about 3 more breaths here? Once we finish that third one, we can use an inhale to rise back on up, hands and knees. And we're just going to take that on the other side. So we'll start by extending that right leg behind us, toes tucked. And we'll just find that little shift back and forth. So again, exhaling to press through that back heel, inhale to shift weight forward. It's like with that goal of flexibility, right? We get this idea in our head that like, oh, if I could just touch my toes, or if I could just do the splits, or whatever the flexibility goal is, right? We think that's gonna bring us happiness. Once we get there, and it might, right? It feels good to accomplish a goal. But for how long, right? What happens when we finally touch our toes? We go, yay, and then nothing else. We're the same person. Nothing really much has changed. And then again, we just find something else that we want, that we think is going to bring us fulfillment. Awesome. Yeah, so from here, finding neutral, and then we're going to spin that back foot flat. And again, that knee that's bent, we can kind of pivot and spin that heel out to the side as we pull our right arm now up to the ceiling. And same thing, we might circle around through that wrist. And then we can, maybe wrap around the low back, right? This is my favorite one. And something about that just really helps me spin my heart up to the sky. Nice chest opener. And then we'll stretch that right arm up to the sky and start to make those circles. So pulling that arm up overhead and then pulling it back. Gotta make sure I don't take out my plant behind me. It's a cactus too, that wouldn't feel good. So yeah, we can take a few one direction. And then we can switch directions. Again, just warming up through that circle. Ow. Keep on going. You guys are doing amazing. All right, so next time we lift that right arm to the sky, we're gonna let our core muscles help us rise all the way up. Oh, we're gonna find that extended sort of T shape and then continue to take it back. Left arm up overhead as we slide those right fingertips down the right leg. Gorgeous, and let's just find that little flow. And again, your block can be here, right? In case we need a little boost as we lean forward. Continuing to breathe. instead of focusing on the outcome, we focus on being in the process, that allows us to be deeply present. We find just as much meaning in every action we're taking, right? We find just as much value in the journey towards what we want as the ultimate achievement of that thing. Right? We value the things we learn along the way, the little steps of growth, all the things to celebrate, those baby steps. The people we meet, the friends we make along the way, whatever it is that's part of that journey, that's just as valuable. Amazing. How about the next time we reach up and back, we pause there and we bring that left hand behind our head so our elbows pointed up towards the sky. And again, we might grab onto that elbow with our right hand and let it help us lean a little bit more over to the right. Big breaths here. This is a deep, juicy stretch for a lot of us. Lovely. How about one more nice big inhale? And as we exhale, almost like a cartwheel, we can let go of those arms and float back down and release that right knee. Maybe we take a little shake of the hips, maybe a little cat and cow. Awesome. And then let's tuck those toes behind us. We're gonna find a down dog from here. So we're pressing into those palms that are under our shoulders, tucking toes, and using that press to start to lift the knees off the mat. Yeah, hips shoot up straight towards the sky as we melt our chest and belly towards our thighs. So it's like we're making an upside down V shape. And from here, we might pedal one knee at a time, kind of bending. One knee as we straighten the other leg, releasing that heel towards the floor. Maybe we shake our head a little yes and no. Good opportunity to take a nice big sigh. Awesome. Then let's come through center and see if we can walk our hands to our feet. So I'm going to turn forward so you can see a little bit easier. We're just enjoying a forward fold here. So we're just hanging over those straight legs, and these can be softly bent. And we might sway a little bit side to side, ragdoll position. Sometimes it's nice to grab opposite elbows. When we become focused on the process, we start to see life itself as this never-ending, continually unfolding, forever process. Like we are always growing and learning and improving and moving towards something for as long as we're alive. There's no finish line. There's never a point that we're done learning and growing, and so there's nothing to rush to. Lovely. Let's take one more nice big breath in. Exhale if we've got a bind. Let's go ahead and release it, and we're going to take 3 little half lifts from here. So as we inhale, we can start to slide those fingertips up the shins, reaching our heart forward, nice flat back. Exhale to release down. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale, get nice and long, nice flat back. And exhale to lower. Last one. Big full breath in, collarbones toward the front of your mat. Exhale to fold. And from our fold, we're gonna turn those toes out to the side. I'm gonna bring my block with me and see if we can start to sink the hips low. We're finding a yoga squat. Let me finagle my camera. So yes, we're in a yoga squat. As you can see, or maybe not see, my heels are lifted. That's because I have tight hamstrings. And the goal is to let those heels settle down towards the mat. If this is just like not working, we might take that block and bring it underneath us and sit on it. And that can help find a yoga squat too. So since I set that up, I'm just gonna stay here. So in our yoga squat, we might bring hands to heart center. We can bring our elbows inside those knees and think about sitting up nice and tall, lifting through the chest. Finding a couple nice deep breaths. Fingertips can also stay in front of us for support. That's lovely too. How about one more nice good stretch for the shoulders here? So just optional, right? You can always take it or leave it. We might see about bringing that left hand in front of our left shin as we pull that right arm to the sky. It's like a little half wing, and I like to do a little flow here. We might exhale, release right fingertips to the left, and then inhale, pull that arm back up. So we can take a couple little waves like that. Some of us, if you are bendy or happen to have really long arms like I do, there's even a world in which we might grab around that left knee, but please do not break your bones trying to do it. There's nothing magical, again, that happens when we touch our toes or take a bind, right? It's just like an option, but you're not a better or worse yogi having done it or not. So when we're ready, we can come up through center. And then we can take the other side. We can release those right fingertips in front of the right shin. Inhale to pull that left arm to the sky. And exhale, take that fanning a couple times. And we can start to notice our thoughts, right? Like we start to really hear with this practice what we are thinking about all day. How many of our thoughts are in the future? How much time we spend wishing we were somewhere else and missing out on everything that we have and everywhere we are right now? Let's take one more nice big breath in. And as we exhale, coming through center, if you're like, oh my God, get me out of this squat, now's the time. We're gonna maybe remove that block if we've sat on it and start to come to the earth. I'm gonna work on my camera skills, y'all. Here we go. So yeah, we're gonna take a butterfly pose. So soles of the feet are together, knees are out to the side. So it's almost like that yoga squat, but we're sitting. And let's grab onto those ankles and take a little cat-cow here so we can inhale, kind of pull on those shins to lift the chin and chest. And exhale to lean back, straighten those arms, rounding through the spine. I don't know about you guys, but the moments of achievement in my life when I get that thing that I've been working really hard toward are fleeting, right? They're few and far between. They're just moments. And most of my time is spent doing the work of creating that outcome. Let's start to fold forward. We can hinge from our hips. Maybe bringing elbows to the floor. Maybe those palms stay out in front of us and we just kind of lean a little bit. Again, we're gonna all have different hips and different levels of openness. And so just landing and being content with whatever depth is available to us today. And so if I get in a mindset where I am only happy when I'm in a moment of achievement, there is so much of my life that I am not going to be happy with, like most of it, right? All the time and effort and work that it takes to get to that goal. So if we can learn to enjoy the process and find deep meaning and peace and fulfillment in the journey itself, we are going to get so much more out of life. Let's take a little bit of a walk over to the left. One more breath here. And then a little bit of a walk over to the right. Next breath in, let's take ourselves through center. And keeping that right foot where it is, let's straighten out that left leg. So how about I turn this way? So yes, left leg is straight, right knee's out to the side. I like to kind of scooch forward on my sit bones to help me sit up nice and tall here. And let's take a twist from here. So that left hand is gonna come behind us for support. We can kind of think about pressing into that palm. You can see how much lift I can get in my chest with that support. That right hand is gonna come to that outer left leg, thigh, as we turn and look over that left shoulder. Every inhale, can we think about getting a little bit more lift? Every exhale, maybe we think about twisting a little bit more. How about one more full round of breath here, all the way in, all the way out. And then we're gonna start to spin back forward and fold over that left leg. So hinging from the hips, nice long spine, thinking about reaching our heart toward our toes. And remember, there's nothing magical about reaching the toes, right? Nothing transformative happens simply by the act of reaching our toes, right? It's a journey to get towards, right? It's pretty cool to notice too, these deeper stretches with these bigger muscle groups. Like we might start somewhere in the fold, and then with some breath and with just a little bit of time, our muscles start to soften. They start to kind of trust that we're not going to go too far. And they respond, and we might find that we can slide just a little bit more deeply. Again, just another affirmation that rushing or forcing or pushing things for a certain outcome is not always beneficial, right? It takes time and patience. And again, just being where we're at, being really present, listening to our body. How about one more breath? Finishing that exhale before inhaling ourselves back up. We can straighten both legs out in front of us. I like to give them a little shake. And then let's pull that left foot in. So that left knee is going to open out to the left as we bring that right hand behind us now for that support, that left hand to the outer right leg. And we're going to turn and look over that right shoulder. A little twist. It's not our fault that a lot of us have the tendency to really focus on outcome. I feel like that is a message that a lot of us receive our whole lives from a lot of different places. Achievement, success, more. That pushing, a forceful, rushed kind of urgency to get where it is we want to go. How about one more inhale? And then as we exhale, we spin forward and just start to melt over that leg. And again, you can notice kind of where you start. And maybe with some time, things loosen up. We have a little more room. If you wanted to touch your toes so bad, like let's say we really wanted to be able to touch our toes in this shape and we forced it, that's when we get hurt, right? That's when we tear something, or we ultimately set ourselves back because we've injured ourselves. Now it's going to take even longer because we have to heal. I feel like that can happen with so many things, even things that aren't physical, right? Sometimes pushing or forcing too hard to get an outcome can actually make it take longer for us to get there. Doing our best to just be in the breath that we're in. How about one more? Nice full inhale. Full exhale to melt and soften, and then using our next breath in to roll up and start to straighten both legs out in front of us. Amazing work. We can give the legs a little shake. And we're gonna lay on down from here. We made it to the end, so we can bend our knees and bring our feet to the floor. Sometimes that helps to kind of soften and settle back. And yeah, we can even keep the knees bent. Sometimes that feels good, especially if there's lower back stuff. We might keep those knees bent, maybe even kind of knocked together, leaning on each other. And you're welcome to just kind of sprawl out in your final rest here. But if you'd like to take a couple of closing postures, I will offer a few. So let's do one more bridge pose. But this time, oh man, I should have told you to have your block handy if you want to try it. We might enjoy a supported bridge from here, where again we bring our feet to the floor, knees bent, lifting up the hips just enough so that we can place that block on our sacrum. It's that like flat part of your lower back. And this is a sort of a gentler, more restful way to get that lifted bridge position. So if it's in the right spot, it should feel pretty easy to just kind of melt over that block and, you know, not use too much muscle exertion here. This is a really good opportunity for you to call back to your mind what it is that brought you to your practice. Thanking yourself for choosing to take this time when there are so many other things you could be doing with this 45 minutes. You chose to be here, moving and breathing and taking care of yourself. What an awesome choice to make. Congratulations. If we are on that block, another thing you might try is what we call a supported shoulder stand. So again, this should feel pretty, dare I say, effortless, right? We're not working too hard or using too many muscles, but you might see about just kind of floating those legs up to the sky. And again, if the block is in the right place, we should feel pretty balanced. I'm gonna have to shimmy mine a little bit, so it might take some adjusting, right? Till we feel like it's in a comfortable spot. And then yeah, we can just kind of balance and stack our legs over our hips and just kind of rest here. This is really good for if you're on your feet a lot or walking a lot, or if you have swelling, right, in the feet or the ankles. This kind of reverses that and is a good antidote for all of that. You can point and flex the feet even here, or circle around through the ankles. You can stay here for as long as you like. When you're ready, floating slowly, we can use our arms to kind of brace ourselves 1 foot at a time. And then pressing into those feet just enough to lift the hips and slide that block out. And again, from top to bottom, we lower down through the spine. How about one more gentle twist? We can squeeze those knees into the chest. And once again, let them fall over to the left, gaze to the right. Maybe as we wrap up, just doing a little noticing of anything that feels different mentally, emotionally, physically than when we were first in this twist, just after a little bit of time, a little breath. If anything has shifted for you. And inhale ourselves through center and just let those knees fall over to the other side, turning the direction of our gaze. So valuable to notice all of the little micro shifts, the little micro wins, the baby steps, the successes along the way. To really take a moment and acknowledge them and celebrate them and feel really proud of them can make the journey to that bigger goal just so much sweeter. When we feel complete on this side, you can come through center and prepare for our final rest. So again, knees can stay bent if that feels more comfortable. We're welcome to extend those legs and arms by our side. And sometimes allowing for a little bit of rest is the hardest part of a yoga practice for some of us, just allowing for stillness. So this is really just time to integrate all of the work that you did. And if our thoughts tend to float around or get swirly, that is more than okay. We can just practice watching our thoughts and letting them come and go and just spending a little bit of time. So just about a minute here. Let's take a final deep breath in through the nose. From here, feeling free to let go of that controlled breathing and return to your natural breathing. How about a nice exhale to set the tone and enjoy your rest. Feeling free to stay here longer if needed. But if we're ready, we can start to just bring our mind back from wherever it's wandered off to. Might be interesting to just make a note of where our mind did go, where the thoughts went. And again, practicing bringing them back to the here, to the now, to this moment. And we can add some movement, maybe wiggling the hands and feet or circling wrists and ankles. I love a nice big long stretch like we did at the beginning too. Just everything long. And we can take all the time that we need to make our way back up to a seat. So some of us might just kind of momentum rock our way there. We can rock over onto one side and use our hands for support. Again, taking your time. But whenever it is we do arrive back to that seat, let's bring those palms to the center of our heart in a prayer position. It's really just a gesture of gratitude and taking a moment to seal up this experience. And taking a little moment to honor yourself, honor your effort, your choice to be here. And with that, we say, the light in me sees, honors, and recognizes the light that is in you with the word namaste. So namaste, thank you so much. Amazing work. Thanks for practicing with me, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.